Okay, I am the last speaker of the morning. I thank you all. Actually, I wanted to thank Nivaldo, Ricardo for this invitation. As it is said, this will be short and sweet. I think everybody is waiting for lunch. We will progress in this presentation making a little bit of history. Australia as a mining country and making a little bit of history with the discovery of gold. We had a large growth of the industry in Australia that made the country to grow based on mining. We had an increase in population and commercial activities. In 1890, gold was discovered in Kalgoorlie, one of the largest and oldest mine in Australia. Other mines with activities since 100 years ago can be Mount Isa mines, Queensland, Broken Hill, copper and gold mines, and the mining development in Australia and its expertise is relevant for the development of important natural resources in Latin America. Between 1950 and 1970, there were discoveries of high-grade iron ores, bauxite, and nickel, uranium in South Australia. And here we have this slide, the world production or the rate in world production in coke coal. Australia produces it, and practically 35% of exports to Argentina are coke coal for the use in the steel industry in Argentina. The future. Here we have a map of mining projects, very important mining projects, and they are disseminated throughout the country, not only in the part of Western Australia, but also in Queensland, now New South Wales, specifically coal there. The investments, the main investments in mining projects, the Amber Hill in New South Wales from Strata project is a coal project of $850 million of investment. Fast growth iron ore project of BHP Billiton in Western Australia of $150 billion, also investments of $1.3 billion. Another project that can be mentioned is the Boddington Newmont Gold, Western Australia, $1.9 billion. Since the 60s, the development of the industry around mining has required the design and construction of different infrastructure projects, including 15 cities, 25 airports, and more than 13,000 kilometers of railroad lines. Most of the projects for mining in Australia have been developed through the resources available in the country. Australia is the third world producer of minerals, and one of the reasons that has allowed to advance in the production of mineral is the amount of geological data available for free to all the stakeholders through Geoscience Australia, the province states, to bring in production and mining. Australia is the most explored country in the world. There's a high incentive for miners when there's a large amount of geological data. Some countries consider this information as secret of state. The government of Australia disseminates trust among the investors. Any prospect, mining prospect, that follows York, managed by the Australian institutions, and any project in Australia that want to be listed in the Australian Stock Exchange must have the previous York approval to give the investors confidence that the prospect is right and correct. Australia was the first one in instituting the York Code. Canada and Chile have followed. York is a standard for the natural resources and reserves with the geological information that should be provided in a manner that is understandable by large investors. For example, competent geologists must create a report in order for the investors to understand the report. The Australian Stock Exchange and the Securities Investment Commission wouldn't allow a new mining company to be registered at the stock exchange without the previous approval of York. And this system then builds trust and transparency to attract investors. Here we show this slide with the transportation system, the 5.5 kilometer long engine with 540 wagons and the large haulage trucks. In Argentina, we have attempted to bring similar equipment, but this has been complicated. This happened in the Alumbrera project. Unfortunately, the regulators didn't give an approval for large-size equipment. Demanding conditions, so they need effective solutions with technology used for mining. There are more than 200 or more than 400 companies, and 200 of them are exporting companies. They contribute about $12 billion per year, and their exports are about $3 billion per year. Many of the technologies are developed in situ at the deposits themselves. These are some of the companies that are not national companies, but they act as world companies, global companies. Some of them might be known by you, such as Borlongi, that has operations in Chile, Argentina, Bradken Selman, that is working in Chile, Ausdrill drilling equipment, GRD Limited, that has been purchased or bought by an English company giving engineering services. And these are these next 3 or 4 slides are Australian technologies. This is Ground Probe, a company founded in 2001. It was R&D project of the University of Queensland and the government of Australia that make slope stability analysis. They are operating in Chile and elsewhere in Latin America. The ETS, Australia is an important software supplier for the mining industry. It is said that about 50-60% of the software used in mining is of Australian origin. Another technology, these are simulators that train the operators of larger trucks. HECO also with new technologies in the gravimetry and intensive leaching systems. Present in Chile. Soil stability. These technologies have Australian technologies, and Austrade has 15 offices in Australia. with 51 offices in the rest of the rural zones of Australia. Internationally, Australia has a network of resources in 60 countries. In Latin America, the mining group that I represent have 40 dedicated persons distributed in Canada, United States, and the rest of Latin America. 35 of the persons work specifically in Latin America, and we assist all mining companies. We try to assist Australian companies that are based in Argentina and in Latin America, and also all Latin American company or supplying companies that want to work in Australia can be assisted by us. This is the presentation I had for you today, and thank you very much.